Well, it's really strange because it depends on what hour of the day that you are out and about is the atmosphere. It really changes. The mornings are a very slow start, and that's understandable because it's so hot. And then later in the evenings when things start to cool down, the streets get full, there's music playing in several areas, and you can really feel that excitement of a World Cup starting to build. There are flags of every nation everywhere, and as you cross to me now, I'm standing on one of the training pitches where the Socceroos are based at the incredibly elite Aspire Academy, and the Socceroos are about to come out and have their team photo taken. So, yep, it really feels like the World Cup is not so far away after a very long and sometimes controversial 12-year build-up.
Indeed, it has been controversial, but it is going ahead finally in Qatar with a spectacular opening ceremony, I'm guessing, coming Sunday. What do we know about it, and also which match will kick off the competition?
Well, the match was actually brought forward so that it would happen on Qatar National Day, and the opening match, of course, traditionally is with the home nation. Qatar will take on Ecuador, and we know about Ecuador because we even faced them ourselves during the qualification period. The opening ceremony itself, we've heard that there will be lots of superstars performing. They will put on a great show. They've been building to this, hosting a number of international sporting events, none as big as this, but they've certainly had a lot of experience in getting towards this point. Most of the stuff around the opening ceremony is being kept highly secret, and I don't know if that's because they're still shoring up things or whether they just want to surprise everybody when the moment arrives.
And Tracey, what do you make of the draw? Is it quite even-handed, or is there a group that stands out as the group of death?
Well, everybody always says the group that Australia is in is the group of death. We're used to that happening at every World Cup. And I guess it all depends on which team you're supporting and where you sit in the world rankings. And so, you know, the world's top teams are spread across the board, and every team that is a lower ranked team will think that their group is the group of death. But Graham Arnold, the Australian Socceroos coach, has been saying it's a dream group. So he's trying to sort of twist that narrative and put it back on the players to feel confident in yourselves and to think about the enormity of the moment and the great teams that you're going to come up against. So we're in the same group as France, Denmark and Tunisia, and he just wants all of the players to go out there and give it their all and really relish the moment rather than go in thinking about all this pressure and the fact that you're taking on the reigning World Cup champions and others that are ranked more highly than us, but to enjoy the moment, and hopefully that brings out the best performance in the entire squad.
I can see the Socceroos setting up behind you, Tracey, all very exciting. How do you think the Socceroos will do, and when can we watch them play? Well,
you can watch them play from Tuesday night, Wednesday morning our time, and you can see the Socceroos now taking their place. Now, this is the official team photo, and what's nice is that they've allowed the Australian contingent, the media contingent, to come out and be part of this history-making moment as we cross to you. And the team is feeling really positive. They're not getting ahead of themselves. They know it's a daunting task taking on France, but as I said, the coach Graham Arnold has really tried to instill this very positive attitude, and he says to play on our strengths, you know, and the strengths of Australia. Australia is well known around the world for being a fighting team, a fighting spirit, a never say die, come from behind, underdog kind of mentality, and that's something that Graham Arnold played his entire career with, and now he's taken it into the coaching ranks with this squad. A mostly young squad, but also some very senior members in there to try and level that excitement and the jubilance of some of the young players in there.
And as well as France, which teams are expected to go far, and what is it that makes them the favourites?
Well, interestingly, aside from France, another one of the teams in our pool, Denmark, they've been performing so well in the recent run-up towards this World Cup. Of course, many people will tip Brazil, #1 team in the world at the moment, and have won the World Cup numerous times. They pretty much always go into the World Cup as favourites because you just never know what you're going to get from Brazil. They're well known for their flair, and if everything comes right at the moment, you know, they will give the world an example of the beautiful game as it's come to be known. So, you know, there's the Argentinians that think they're going to win, the Brazilians think they're going to win, France obviously thinks they're going to win, the Danes are pretty confident in themselves as well, and, you know, we've got the Socceroos that are saying, yeah, well, just all of you take a breath back and think for a moment because we're not going to let you do this easily.
That attitude is so important, isn't it? Now, the matches will be held across no fewer than 8 stadiums, I understand. There has been a lot of controversy surrounding the building of these, but as the tournament gets underway, that has been pushed to the back of people's minds, would you say?
I wouldn't say at the back, because I think it's been such a constant narrative for the 12 years. But I think, you know, it is important to point out the incredible changes that have happened legally here and as far as workers' rights go, with the support of the International Trade Union Confederation, with the International Labour Organisation, and something that is quite heartening. People have always been talking about, well, what will the legacy be when the World Cup is done? Workers' rights will be a legacy, and the Qatari government has already started conversations with the ILO to establish a full-time office here. So there was an office put here with those legal changes that came in to support workers' rights during the period of the World Cup, but it looks like that is now going to be a permanent facility, which is good news for workers. And we've been trying to talk to as many workers as possible since we've been here, just to hear whether they think the positive changes have actually filtered down to their end and to their stories. They most certainly have, but of course we know that when new laws come in that are so different to what has been known here previously, there's going to be a bit of a delay in having those adopted right around the nation in an even attitude. So some employers are being prosecuted now, some have even been put in jail for a certain period of time, but that is all starting to filter down now, and that is good signs for a long-term legacy.
Well, the tournament is going ahead from Sunday. Thanks so much, Tracey, for a preview, and wish the Socceroos all the best.
I certainly will. Thanks very much, Yvonne.